friends, welcome to Sarat Chandra IAS Academy where your dreams are our mission. This is Yatharth here, and today we'll be doing something different from what we regularly do. We'll be reading a newspaper together. So newspaper has displayed its importance times and times again in all prelims. Alright, so we need to figure out how to read this newspaper and what to read in it, how much time to devote, and what points to take out from each news, which news to skip completely, and which news to selectively read. Alright, so we'll see this in this lecture. Let's begin with reading the Hindu, July the 13th, 2023. Alright, so I'll be zooming out on some news, but let's just do it page by page. So first of all, let's figure out what news are important from this page. So just focus on the headlines and terms in them. So June inflation. So inflation is important as per our economy syllabus. Alright, so we'll be reading this. Big ticket defense deal. So defense is important again. Alright, likely during PM's Paris visit. So this is important. There's some small news here. Shares French writer Milan Kundera dies. Not important for us. Loot, insurgents and a colonial blot. This is in the editorial. So we'll see this later. Alright, G7 pledges defense support for Ukraine. So that's not important because it has just pledged. But it's important for us to see what is G7 if you don't already know. Alright. Okay. In the left, we can see Center to buy tomatoes from South and West. Not important for us. Sonia to attend opposition meeting. So these are political category news, which are not important for us at all. Alright. So let's focus on this news first. June inflation quickens to 4.8% as the food prices climb. Okay. I hope you can all see that. So retail inflation. So let's just pick out terms which are important. So retail inflation. This is term 1. This is important for us. So Harran in India 3 months high. So this is not important. This data is not important for us. That 3 months high. Alright, these are quarterly data. Just a trend is important. That what's happening. Alright, so this graph you can just read here, but it's not important for the exam. Alright, understanding this may help you. Okay. So due to the rising cost of items like cereal, pulse, millets, tomatoes, so this you can read that what are the items that can cause a rise in the retail inflation. Okay. One more thing you can see from here is industrial output. So what is industrial output? And what is industrial production? Okay, both these things you can see. So industrial output expanded at the fastest pace in 3 months. So these quarterly data are not so useful for us. But you can just take out, let's say, a screenshot of these graphs whenever they are in news. Alright, nothing else. Okay. So there are other things. ICRA here. Alright, you can read about this. What is ICRA? Who is the head, etc., etc. Okay. Let's come to the next news from this page. That India-France defense partnership. Okay, PM Modi is visiting France. Just a second. Okay, so PM Modi is visiting France, the capital of which is Paris. So it's just a common trend to write, let's say, New Delhi instead of India to display the capital. So as for the India-France strategic partnership, it's the quarter century mark. So these lines, this can be used in the, let's say, answer writing as well. Okay, so quarter century mark, 25 years basically. So it has given strong guidance to the common vision of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and French President, Foreign Secretary, etc., etc. So these are important. What's important from here is, let's say, Rafale AM fighter jets. So what's important to take out from here is what is the deal between India and France in regards to defense. Alright, except even from the Rafale jets. What else is there between India and France? So France has been offering its submarines times and times again. Alright, it's diesel electric submarines. There was a recent skirmish between the AUK US also related to this. So you can read all that things, connect a bit in the notes. Alright. So about G7, I already told you that you need to know what is G7 when it was established, where it's the headquarter. So rest anything you don't need to see, because when somebody says the pledges, so pledges doesn't mean that they have actually supported. And even if they had supported, let's say G7 supported Ukraine, so what's happening in the global world because of that, it's not important right now. Because this war has taken a political turn for good or bad. So that's not one of our issues. Okay, post-poll violence. So this is one issue, let's say with the, just a second, sorry. okay, with the mechanism of how elections are conducted, but this is a very common issue and not, let's say, important for us. These criminal cases, etc., these news are also not important for us. Okay. So Manipur police files criminal case against Methi organization chief. So here Methis are important for us. That who are the Methis? Which tribals are the Methis? And what is their issue with the Kuki Zomi communities? Alright, so what's happening in the Manipur? You must see a geographical map of Manipur. Alright, how it's surrounded. Okay, how it's located and what's in between. Where do Methis live? Who are Kuki and Zomi community? What is the relation with their kins in the Myanmar? Alright, so all these things you must take care of. What is a, let's say, sixth schedule? What is fifth schedule? What is the difference between these schedules? Okay, what are the autonomous tribal councils, etc. So these all things you can read from, let's say, these news or taking in context these news. Okay, let's now come to the next page. Just a second. Okay, I hope you can all see that. So again, here's some political news like Kejriwal seeks central help, etc., etc. Yamuna water level breaches 60 years for Landmark. So it's not important for us. All right. What's important for us is to know about Yamuna a bit if we don't already know. What are its tributaries? The major tributary is Chambal River. All right. And whose tributary it is? So it's tributary of Ganga. All right. So all these things are important, nothing else. Now let's go back to these other things such as Raging River brings back 1978 tragedy. So these all things you can skip. It's up to you if you can skip this or you want to read about this. If you would read about this, you can just note down the year 1978, the place and what happened and use it in answer writing on disaster management. Alright, so these things will help you extensively in the answer enrichment. Okay, let's go back to the, let's say, some chopped body parts, etc. So not of our use, criminal news. Okay, bail to former AAP councillor, political news, not of use to us. For the 2012 terror attacks, so these are also not important to us, that what's happening in the, let's say, these things, criminal, crime, politics, or any other judiciary, etc. So not very important for us. Okay, unless there is some case related to fundamental rights, etc. Okay, so with this whole page can be skipped except for some news. All right, let's come down to Amarnath Yatra. You can just pick out where is this Amarnath located in Jammu and Kashmir, where it's located, what is the name of the cave, okay, etc. Section 144, you can see if you are a very beginner that who can impose, who has the power to impose Section 144 and what are its, let's say, intricacies, where it's used and what are the intricacies to this, but nothing else. Okay, no selfie near river, etc. All right. So these are all ads we can skip. Okay. Again, the post-poll violence, this must be skipped. No use to us. Opposition to Assam delimitation. So this can be something that you can read in, let's say, GS3. So what is delimitation? All right. And why is there an issue from other states, let's say, to Assam's delimitation? Okay, what are the land issues or boundary issues of Assam with other states and who have the jurisdiction in these matters? So this is by far the most important thing in relation to this. So this news is important, you can read. Not the political aspect, this. Okay, just this, opposition to Assam delimitation. All right. This is not important. MP Assembly, UP government says, no, not important, not important. All right, very selectively important news are there. Rajasthan Congress, not important. Principal teacher held, not important. 2 Dalits killed by upper caste, not important. Maharashtra Congress leader, not important. You can skip all this altogether. Okay, ISKCON publishes monk for inappropriate remarks, etc. Just a second. Let's change the pen color for a while now. Okay, after Vivekananda Ramakrishna Paramans. So these two you can read about selectively. That who were these, when were they born, what's their contribution in the history and society. what were their movements. All right, so all this you can read, but not read this news is like in the sense that as a news. Okay, three arrested in double murder case, not important, criminal news again. All right, so let's move further. So when we come to the editorial page, so what we need to do is to skip it in the first go. Just see the headlines. Lewd insurgents and the darkening of a colonial blot. Okay, so it's about the British Empire. So let's skip it for now. Okay, we'll come to this later. Don't immerse yourself in the editorials when you read the paper in the first go. Otherwise, you will be stuck in the editorial bit only. Okay, so weakening autonomy, we'll see this later. Okay, what is the extension to ED, CBI heads, etc. We'll see. Quiet diplomacy could ease South China Sea tension. So it's basically a way forward suggested. Way forward suggested for South China issue. So South China is one of the parts of India, let's say in the focus. One of the parts of focus to India. So this is a way forward suggested to that. Okay, other thing is the migrant crisis. This is an important topic and can come in mains this year. Okay, what is the migrant crisis and how it affects the world? So you must explore all the dimensions to this news, that how the migrant crisis affects the world in a human sense, in a social sense, in the sense of economy, in the sense of security. So these are all the dimensions you can see towards this news, and that's why it's important. Okay, so moving forward, this is the opinion column, similar to the editorial column again, but less important than the editorial column. All right, because these are opinion of, let's say, people or some people, so they may or may not be important. Okay, so we'll for now skip it and see. Usually we will just see if there's any important news or important issue being discussed. So what happens? How do we know whether the issue is important or not? Sometimes in the news, primarily something important will come up first as a news, and then it will come or occur in the editorials or the opinion column. So what is the opinion or of other important people related to this or related to that news? Okay, so then we see the editorial, such as when the Methi issue came in the news, Manipur issue came in the news. So then many opinions and editorials came. So right now, let's say the opinion is about West Bengal, so not very important for us. Okay. So US student debt crisis, again not important for us, not important for the exam. So we'll just completely skip this. We need to learn to skip. All right. So most of the things in the newspaper have to be skipped. Over 80 to 90% of the things in the newspaper have to be skipped. Okay. And the rest of the 10% also we have to very selectively read. Okay. So let's say these are the figures here, news in number. So France massive insurance bill, the United Kingdom additional support package to Ukraine, Yamuna River record water, malnourished kids identified. So this is important. If your state is Madhya Pradesh, you can, let's say, copy this data, or otherwise even for the nutrition or malnutrition prevalent in the country, you can note down this data. Additional water to be reserved from Bhakra Dam into the Satluj River. So you can see these dam and river from here. Where is Bhakra Nagal Dam? And is it the highest? Is it the largest? Okay, what is its status? And where is Satluj River? Okay, you must have heard about the Ravi, Byas, Satluj, Jhelum, Chenab. Okay, so Ravi and Byas go into the Satluj, they go into the Indus. So this is, you can map and see even their tributaries. One question came this time in the prelims from the Jhelum River. Okay, about a wetland or Ramsar site. I'm not very sure, but it came in the prelims this time. So is it possible to have partial app bans? Why do we need app bans in the first place? Okay, how do apps pose a security threat to our state? This is the first dimension to explore, and then we can see about is it possible to have partial app bans. So why is the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India trying to regulate messaging apps? Are internet shutdowns very common in India? Why is Indian government wary of VPN? VPN is threat to digital privacy. So these are the subheading will give you the most, let's say, important things from the news itself, such as digital privacy. So what is digital privacy? All right, is it protected by constitution or not? If it's protected, then under which article it's protected? Okay, what is the right to forget, right to forgotten, right to be forgotten? All right, these are important. This term is important. What is VPN? Virtual private network. So everybody must be familiar with news already, but again, just read the definition of it. How is it formally defined? Okay, because sometimes we know that switching on the VPN, we can access some sites, special sites, which are banned by the government, let's say. Okay, but we don't know how this happens. However, server DNS is changed towards other network servers. All right. So the main server cannot recognize where we are coming from. Our IP address is changed. So sometimes must read about these all things. Okay. So rest of the news you can read. Can VPN be blocked? What about the VPNs? Has TRI considered app regulations before? How would the TRI move work? So these all you can read. Okay. And internet shutdowns are also very important for the interview. That does India, let's say here. So does India have a history? Just a second. Okay, so does India have a history of internet shutdowns? So internet shutdowns are imposed in states and districts across India from time to time in order to prevent the rapid spread of provocative content during communally charged periods. So these words are very important. All right, you can use these words. These are formal words. You can use these when just a second. Okay, so when you are doing answer writing, you can use these words. All right, the Indian government considers internet shutdown a legitimate tool for maintaining law and order. This is also very important when you are speaking in the interview. So these things play a very important part. Okay, if you want to be an IPS, let's say, then these are the key routes in the interview. Shutdowns can be prolonged with access to education, work, banking, and information restrained. So these are some things which get affected during the internet shutdowns, etc. All right, just a second. So this is why we are talking about the partial app bans. Okay, just a second. All right. Again, there's another different news. What is a National Research Foundation? Okay, so the news simply tells about the National Research Foundation. How is the body going to be funded? Okay, bodies are of two types: constitutional bodies, statutory bodies. So let's see if this is a statutory body because it is coming from a bill. That is National Research Foundation bill in Parliament. So it will be a statutory body, and it will be dedicated to research. So you can read about these news. These news must not be skipped. Okay, these are very important news. So not to be skipped. Whenever there is a formation of the statutory or constitutional body, so must read about this and know everything about this. Not that where it will be funded, etc., but important things. All right. This page, we can skip this page completely. Just a second. Okay, let me just set up the... Okay, so this page we can skip completely. Those who are weak in English, they have access to this page here, Know Your English. This is a good column. So if you are facing some kind of difficulties in reading the paper itself, you can read this column especially. There are many things that are taught in this column. Okay, so this we can completely skip, not important for us. Okay, we can solve this also, the questions which come here. It gets a bit difficult to solve these every day. All right, some are not even very important. Okay, let's focus on the bottom half of the page now. Government rejects EU Parliament move to discuss Manipur situation. Not important for us. All right, inflation touches 4.8. So this is a carry on from the first page. NHRC, this is important for us. National Human Rights Commission. So we must see the organization formation of this. Okay, who is the head and how it functions when it was formed. Okay, Nagaland subdivision bars Aadhaar update for people from Manipur. Not important for us. Okay, but can read it's, let's say, 3 upon 10 important. All right, not very much important. Okay, in UN HRC vote India stand against discretion of Quran. Not important for us. Okay, big tickets deal likely during PM Paris. So this is important for us again because it's related to defense and security of India. China pushed 4 tents in buffer zone in Ladakh. Not important for us. Just read the map here. Where is Chushul? Okay, where is this Chushul sector in this area, in LAC area? Linking GST PML is a road to tax terrorism. So what is this tax terrorism? This term is important. Okay, you can read about this. Let's come now. A life spent in inventing stories, asking questions about everything. So whose life? Milan Kundra. So you can read or skip it depending upon how important is the person. This term is also important here. Totalitarianism. So you can see if it's important or not as per your view. Okay. Congress invites, again not important for us. Rahul to move SC, not important for us. Okay, we move further. So center to buy tomatoes from south and west to sell in northern cities. Alright, so why tomatoes? Why sometimes, this can be a question, that why sometimes arbitrarily the prices of some vegetables go awry, like onion, okay, coriander, tomato. So despite not having the intrinsic value so high, why do sometimes the prices go so high? Okay, and what decides the intrinsic value of a thing? It is just the demand and supply. Alright, the demand of tomatoes is here, the supply of tomatoes is here, this is the price gap. Okay. Alright. NABARD is the spine of rural India. So this is important for us. The NABARD, its formation. Okay, and what is its role in the rural India? Development of rural India. Okay. 293 people stranded in Lahore Spiti districts, not important for us. Where is Lahore Spiti? You can see this, geographic, but not important. Tamils stranded in North, not important. Supreme Court gets 2 new judges, not important for us. Alright, this all is not important. Tribal MP, CBI files. Okay, Collegium refuses request of 3 judges, not important for us. Okay, this whole is to be skipped, not important for exam. This worldview is important sometimes, such as Iran President Raisi visits Kenya and Uganda to deepen relation, not important for us. This can be important. What is the relation between Middle East and Africa as a whole? Alright, so this can be important. North Korea fires new missiles, not important. Wagner mercenary. So Wagner group is sometimes asked in news that what is this Wagner group? Private group, let's say. NASA celebrates Webb telescope. Webb telescope is again and again in the news. It's a good topic to be read about, so must read. Okay, Zelensky, anything related to Zelensky is not important actually. Okay, because he is not a renowned leader right now and just acting as a political puppet to NATO and the Western countries in view of Ukraine. Okay, and the war with Russia. Alright, just read the geography if there is anything important here. Despite conservative backlash, EU Parliament backs biodiversity bill, not important for us. Unless there is a big bill related to environment or power or energy, let's say, passed in the Europe or EU, so it does not become important for us to read about it. Okay, but you can just see what is the biodiversity bill in view of what are the global progress. What is the global progress in these aspects? Okay. So this all we can skip. Pakistan gets final IMF nod for 3 billion loan, etc. Just a second. Okay, Pakistan gets final IMF node in 3 billion loan. So this you can study. So Pakistan is getting loans big time from IMF, especially Asian Development Bank and all those things. Pakistan is one of the major loan taker of the last 1-2 years. Its economy has completely gone to Auri. Okay, IIP rises. What is IIP? Alright, you see this led by infrastructure. So there are 8 to 9 components of IIP, major industrial components. So you see what are the components to that also. Okay, so this all is not important for us. This CPI inflation is sometimes important. The what is CPI inflation? You can just read the definition. Okay, to move further, this is a sports page. Only when the big games are happening related to badminton or chess or tennis and weightlifting, then it becomes important for us to read about the sport person. Cricket is usually not asked in the exam. Alright, so not very important for us. Okay, so that's about today's newspaper. We can just skip completely these pages. Alright, some pages are important. This Chandrayaan mission is important. You can read these from Indian Express Explained series instead of the Hindu. Alright, welfare schemes may help poor children brain grow normally. So this is part of anthropology optional, you can say. You can read or skip, but should read and make some notes for GS2 from here. Okay. Just a second. All right. So you can make some notes from here. How to make notes, I will tell in another, let's say, lecture or episode. Now coming back to editorials once quickly. Okay. So editorials like these are important. Quiet diplomacy could ease South China Sea tensions. I'll tell you how to make notes from these in the next lecture when we read some editorial. So we'll discuss that in detail. But you can leave out lectures like this. Sorry, just a second. So you can leave out editorials like this. Just better your English maybe and get some lessons of history from here. But if you don't have much time, then you can leave out. Alright, but please don't leave out things like these. South China Sea tensions or somebody suggesting a way forward to this. So just a short note may help out of this. Alright. So this was today's lecture. In next lecture, we'll learn how to take notes from news and editorials. So just a second. Alright, so this is Yatharth here. I hope you liked this lecture and we'll keep making more. Thank you very much for your support and see you in the next video. Keep studying and have a bright day.